Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be looking at where Rocky was staying when he was in Tenerife, because his location might have just been found. More messages from Rachel, and messages that show Luggy and Mark Williams Thomas have a problem with each other. So the first thing we are going to take a look at is where Rocky was actually staying while he spent time in Tenerife. If you take a look at this picture of Rocky, you can see that he was at an apartment. This was while he was in Tenerife with Ayub, I think. Because I don't have the exact date or the full video that was uploaded to Rocky's TikTok. Well, someone has found where this apartment was, and it is on booking.com. You can go and take a look for yourself if you want. But this apartment is the exact same place where Rocky took his first TikTok video. So the question is, was Rocky staying here with Ayub, or was this his own place? There is also the other option that this could have been where LK was staying. But this apartment is big enough and 3 people could stay there. So that could be LK, Rocky, and Ayub. But how come Ayub booked an Airbnb in the mountains, which is 45 minutes away from this apartment and the main strip in Tenerife? I'm just wondering if Rocky had booked this place for himself, and this is where he was staying. But then why would he go into the mountains and stay with Ayub if he already had a place a lot closer that he can stay at? It makes no sense. Could this be someone else's apartment? Because the only person who could have had this apartment is LK, unless there were more people out there that we don't know about. You can see that from this apartment, the distance to Los Cristianos is only a 13-minute drive. So I don't really understand why the trip to Masca is necessary if they had a place closer to the main strip. There were 3 people who were pictured in Tenerife with Ayub, Rocky, LK, and the mystery guy, who could be someone called Sleeper, but that isn't confirmed. So did they split up and 2 of them stayed near the main strip, and the other 2 stayed all the way out in Masca? It's hard to work out, because Rocky makes a video at this apartment. So either he's trying to make it look like he's staying there, or he was staying there, and the Airbnb was just Ayub's place that he booked for some odd reason. It's hard to work all of this out, because we don't know when the Airbnb was actually booked. All we have to go off is what Ayub has told us. There is no confirmation of when he actually booked the Airbnb. The facts are, Rocky was at this apartment. Whether he stayed there or not, we don't know. But why go and stay in a dusty Airbnb when you could stay in this apartment, which would have been way more luxurious? The next thing we are going to look at is messages between Mark Williams Thomas and Luggy, because they had a huge disagreement. And Luggy has kind of exposed Mark and said that he has led us down a path of lies. So this is a screenshot of messages between Mark and Luggy, and you can see that Luggy says to Mark that he needs to apologize to Jay's family and that Jay was not scared when he left the Airbnb. Mark replies to Luggy saying that he has been in close contact with Jay's family and everything he has said is the truth. He then goes on to say that the message from Luggy is weird and he is now blocked. So there seems to be a problem between these 2, and one of them is telling the truth and the other is clearly lying to us. This situation makes it hard to understand who's lying, because Mark was in Tenerife and was clearly working on this case, and Luggy was working with Chris Tenerife while Chris was out searching for Jay. The problem is, none of them are going to admit who's actually lying, because if Mark has lied, his career is over, and if Luggy has lied, then it does make us even more suspicious of what actually happened with Jay. Let's take a look at a video Luggy has made, because he talks about Jay being scared to leave the Airbnb and how Mark has tried to confuse us.
Mark William Thomas. You know what you're guilty of, Mark. Okay? What you're guilty of is pushing the BS theories. Your statements. Let's just go back to your statements, Mark. You know that your statements harmed the family. 100%. And Mark, do you know something? Your statements are actually still harming that family. So if you're any kind of man, go and get on TikTok, YouTube and whatever, Instagram, whatever other social media platforms you've got, right? And go and explain your statements to everybody. Because currently, you can see it, I can see it, and many other people can see it, that people are still hovering on your words, Mark, which were untrue. They were not true. They were scripted in such a way to heighten everything, and you know it. Mark William Thomas, one question. Was Jay scared leaving the Airbnb? Or was Jay scared when he was actually trapped down in the ravine, calling Lucy? I call you out on that one just to start with, okay? Because you're telling everyone he was scared. Now you've made it out to be that he was scared leaving the Airbnb. But Mark, you failed on Lucy and Brad. Because when Jay spoke to Brad, did he turn around and say he was scared? No, he was laughing and saying, I'm taking a shortcut, and off he went down some stones. He then speaks to Lucy. At what point, Mark, did he ever say anything about any knives? Nope. Or did Brad or Lucy say anything about knives? Nope. So where did they come from, Mark? Where's the knives? There were none. Okay, that's that one out of the way as well. Can you see where this is going, Mark?
Luggy is basically saying that Jay wasn't scared when he left the Airbnb and there was no talk of Jay having any knives on him. So where did this information come from? Because Mark could be telling the truth, but he needs to back it up. So in his last video about Jay where he says that he has information and the family know, but he won't tell us until the time is right, it doesn't look very good. Then you have the news report saying that Debbie isn't happy with Mark, and if he has any information, he needs to tell them. Since then, Mark hasn't spoke about Jay, so he needs to either tell us that he hasn't got any information about why Jay left the Airbnb, or tell us what information he has. Now, I do believe that Jay left the Airbnb for a reason, and it wasn't because he needed to get some food. That's just my opinion. He had already had food just before he came back to the Airbnb, so suddenly wanting to leave because he needed food doesn't make sense. I just don't believe that he went off-road for no reason, and I also don't think what we have been told by Lucy and Brad is true. There were so many mistakes, but if Mark says he knows the reason why Jay left, then he needs to tell us, because that's obviously really important information. Now moving on to the last thing that I want to talk about, and that is a message that is allegedly from Rachel, and this was a message that was going around a bit of time ago. So someone messaged Rachel saying that their sons were asking a couple of boys some questions, and as soon as Jay was mentioned, the boys said that they don't talk about Jay and told their sons to go home because they don't know what they are getting involved in. This is already questionable. Because how can they be involved in something just by asking a question? Is it really that dangerous? Also, Rachel's response is something that stands out to me. It's really confusing because these messages that we have been looking at are from Rachel's account, but she claims that she was hacked. So was her account hacked, or is this Rachel who's actually replying? The response that is allegedly from Rachel says that she knows what this person is on about, and Lucy knows the boys who their sons were speaking to. Obviously, Lucy is involved in another one of Rachel's messages. But the part that stands out to me is where Rachel allegedly says, Jay will be home soon, and this will all be forgotten about, with laughing faces. This just doesn't sound right. And she wouldn't be talking about Jay coming home and not being alive, because it's not something that you would say, then put laughing faces after it. The message clearly means that they thought Jay was coming home alive. So what happened, and are these messages from when Rachel's Facebook account was hacked, or did she send them herself? Let me know what you guys think. And if there is any proof that Rachel didn't send these messages. Because if that's the case, then there is no point taking what was said into consideration. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we will update you as we find out more.